welcome back to Module 5 of the High Performance Leadership Mini Program. Now hopefully you've been with us all the way through and this is your final module in the program. Now I'm really excited about this module because this is where we take a slight detour. This module is all about execution. How do we execute high performance leadership in the workplace? And so this module will look a little bit different. In the previous modules, we've broken the critical elements of high performance leadership up into 3 principles. In this module, we'll be taking a different route. We'll explore this critical element by me describing to you a tool that you can use every day in the workplace, and then describing the process of where that tool fits in to develop your high performance leadership. So high performance leadership is all about execution, and we execute with a mission focus. We've spoken before about the mission being the top priority. It is also the driving force behind everything that we achieve in the team. And so we make it the central focus. Where the entire team focuses on the mission, we all win. So first of all, what do I mean by a mission? In the military, a mission is something that's quite different to the civilian workplace. In the civilian workplace, we often associate a mission as a company mission. It's an overarching statement which guides the direction of the company. But in the military, missions are used at every level of leadership, right down to the tactical level. So at the strategic level, the operational level, and at the tactical level, if I wanted my team to achieve an objective, I would give them a mission. So I wouldn't use a task, I wouldn't use an objective, I wouldn't use a goal, I would use a mission. Even the word mission conjures up a more active and assertive approach to achieving something. So what is a mission? Well, a mission is a very specific way of communicating what you want done, but not just what you want done, why you want it done as well. And this is the key thing. A mission always has a why. So you are always communicating your purpose. In the military, we call this the commander's intent. The idea here is that we tell people why we want something to be achieved. And in that way, if everything else changes, like the what, the when, the where, or the how, the why is still known and it can still be achieved. A mission provides a clear and unambiguous target. Now remember back to Module 1 where we spoke about the VUCA environment. Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Missions help you overcome that. They also create clarity and certainty in the team. When I'm given a mission, I know what I need to do, when I need to do it, where I need to do it, who's doing it, but most importantly, I know why I'm doing it. When we use missions well, they become part of a more structured and repeatable planning process. When you give a mission to your people, you are telling them what end state you want to achieve. They become very clear on your desired outcome. So let's look at the anatomy of a mission. A mission is made up of the who, what, when, where, and why. So immediately what you'll notice is that there was no how. And this is the way that we avoid micromanagement. We allow our people to develop the how. We'll talk more about that in a moment. It could sound something like this. Combat Team Alpha is to secure the Port of Melbourne on the 2nd of June, not later than 1300 hours, in order to ensure the safe disembarkation of all passengers. So you'll notice there that it was the who, the what, the where, the when, and lastly, the why. But I did not direct the how. Now let's look at a civilian example. The marketing department is to provide research into the uptake of electric vehicles in Australia over the last 2 years. They are to provide this not later than lunchtime next Friday in order to allow the board to make a decision on investments into electric vehicle charging stations. So in both of these instances, the people who have received the mission know exactly what they need to do, when they need to do it by, and they know why they're doing it. But the most important thing is what they're doing and why they're doing it. So let's just clear something up, because I'm always told this when I teach about missions. They seem very formal in the way that I just delivered it to you, but they don't have to be that way. A mission can be given to someone over a cup of coffee at the cafe. It could sound something like this: Jane, would you be able to do X for me by lunchtime next Friday so that I can make sure that I can achieve Y? And it's as simple as that. And simple is the key word. We want to keep it clear and simple. And it doesn't need to be formal, and it doesn't need to be written. It all depends on the situation and the circumstances that you're in. But if you're going to allocate tasks, then I would highly recommend that you start using the mission statement format. Now, of course, by itself, this simple tool is not really enough. You need to wrap it in a process. And that process is the core of mission-centric leadership. This is what it looks like. Firstly, I sit down and I analyse what it is that I need done. Once I've analysed that, I formulate in my mind, or by writing down, my mission statement. I then deliver that to my subordinate. Once my subordinate receives the mission statement, they have some work to do. What we want them to do is to analyse the mission. We want them to be critical about it. Is it achievable? Do they understand it? Is the time frame adequate? Do they have the resources required? Do they understand the restrictions and limitations that are placed upon them? Once they've answered these questions, or sought the answers to these questions, they develop a rough plan, a concept. They then come back to you with that concept and they back brief you. The back brief is just simply a dialogue about their thoughts on the mission and about the concept of operations that they have developed to achieve the mission. The purpose of the back brief is for you to ensure that they've understood your intent, and secondly, for you to provide any further guidance that they might require. And lastly, it gives you an opportunity to offer any resources that are under your command for them to use in achieving the mission. So what's just happened? Firstly, you've made sure that your subordinate has understood what you want them to achieve. This is all about clarity. Secondly, you've offered guidance. You've supported them owning the plan. And thirdly, you're supporting their plan by offering up any additional resources that might be useful to them. And now it's time for execution. Your subordinate now knows that they have a good plan, that you're aware of it, and that they're supported. And it's time for them to execute. You, as the leader, stay out of the execution, but it doesn't mean that you remain passive. In an earlier module, I used the term nose in, fingers out. This is where it really comes to play. What it means for you as a leader is that you need to stay in touch with the progress of the mission. You can set up a regular meeting or a regular briefing from your subordinate to let you know where they're at and if they've got any roadblocks that they need your assistance with. Your mindset here should not be about taking over or about them doing it your way. The mindset is all about ensuring that they're still heading in the right direction, that they're achieving the milestones that you require them to achieve, but most of all, it's about identifying any other ways that you can support them to achieve their plan. And then the final part of the process, once the mission has been achieved, is what we call a HOTWASH. So we sit down with our subordinate and their team and we go through a structured process of extracting the lessons that we learned. What do we need to sustain? What do we need to improve? And of those things we need to improve, how do we fix them? So there you go. That's the simple tool, the mission statement, and a description of the process of where it fits in, the mission-centric leadership process. And this is how we ensure that we are a purpose-driven organisation. It's how we ensure that the leader's intent from the top all the way to the bottom is maintained. It's how we stay on track. It's how we stay impactful. It's how we stay purposeful. It's how people stay engaged with the organisation. It's how we keep things clear and relevant. It's how we maintain certainty in the organisation. And it engenders trust because people understand how their work fits into the bigger picture. And it encourages our people to think, to develop plans, to be critical, to question, and ultimately to execute without being micromanaged, in the knowledge that they feel trusted. This is all about prioritising and executing, which is what so many organisations are not good at. As a leader at any level, it's easy to become overwhelmed with the amount of information that you receive, with competing demands, competing priorities, and alternative courses of action. Using the process that I've just described helps avoid all of these problems. The worst decision we can make is to not make a decision at all. And the answer here is to prioritise and execute, utilising the mission-centric process that I've just outlined. As a leader, we should always be asking, what's our mission here? What decision will move us closer to attaining mission success? And so this is where I want to start talking about your decision-making once the mission is in progress. Just because we've come up with a plan and we've done this process that I've described doesn't mean things won't change. And in fact, we should expect that they will, particularly in the circumstances that we find ourselves at the moment. Things are volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, and they will change. What we need to stay true to is the purpose, the why. The rest of it could change. So how do we deal with that? Well, I'm going to give you two models to work with. The first one is called the OODA loop. It's a decision-making process. OODA stands for observe, orientate, decide, and act. Now, obviously, observe means exactly that. Once the mission is underway, you're observing what's happening in the team and in the environment. The second part is to orientate. Or a better way to say this maybe is to focus on the things that seem to be changing the quickest. D is for decide. We make a decision. And A is for act. We then act. Now this may change the plan, so we communicate that quickly. And it's a loop. Once we've acted, we go back to observing. We observe the environment, we observe the team, we orientate to what's changing, we make a decision about that, and we act and we go back to observing. That's the OODA loop. Now, the OODA loop is really good for certain types of leaders or certain types of situations. You'll see that it's front-end loaded by thinking, observing, focusing, thinking, deciding, and then acting. Other leaders prefer a more action bias, and other situations require an action bias. Particularly a critical or crisis situation may require you to act first. And that's where this second decision cycle model is useful. It's called ASDA. The A stands for act. So in a commercial setting, we might try something in the marketplace, like a minimal viable product, and see what happens. The S is sense, kind of like observing in the OODA loop. We sense what is happening from the marketplace, from our team, and within our mission. The D stands for decide. So we make a decision, and the final A stands for adapt. So we adapt the plan to the environment that we have sensed. By acknowledging that the plan can change, we avoid target fixation. So we stick to the process, we stick to the purpose, we have robust decision-making models and processes that allow us to adapt and be agile as we go. In both of those models, two really good questions for you to ask yourself are these. What's changed? And secondly, what are my new priorities? So team, that concludes Module 5. We covered the tool of the mission statement, the process of mission-centric leadership, and we explored two different decision-making models. Altogether, this is the basic toolbox of high-performance leadership. And my sincere hope is that you will give these a go in your workplace. Modify and adapt them to suit you and to suit your team and your environment. But give them a go. I can attest to how powerful this is, and whilst it seems simple, it will be difficult to execute. But be courageous and give it a shot. And now I wish you well on your journey of high performance leadership. It's not an easy road, but it's well worth it, and it's exactly what we need now. We need more high performance leaders in every area of society. I know you're up to it. Believe in yourself, and best of luck.